What's up, guys? Swift here, covering everything Chicago Bears. Today is day 2 of the Chicago Bears' second OTA period of the offseason. They practiced yesterday. They are practicing today and tomorrow. We should have some tidbits come out of practice, but today our special teams coordinator and defensive coordinator both held press conferences and gave away a bit of information. Let's get right into it. The best quote from Alan Williams was, "This is a rep chart, not a depth chart this early in the offseason." He said, "Don't put any stock into who lines up with the first or second stringers right now. At least until training camp, it's all about just getting guys reps. Positions on depth charts will not begin to take shape until they get to training camp. This is slow season, so media guys will make big deals out of guys not running with starters or running with starters. It happened last year with Jaylon Johnson and Tevin Jenkins. Both times I spoke about how I didn't believe it was a big deal and both guys would be fine. They were. Both went on to start and have pretty good years before getting hurt. This year, there will be someone who isn't running with the starters early in OTAs, and people will overreact. Don't worry, I'll be here covering the entire offseason with daily videos and updates." The biggest tidbit from today comes from our defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, and people now assuming he's not happy that Jaylon Johnson isn't there. I understand completely why coaches are tired of getting asked about players who aren't there. I don't get it. The media and reporters always want to focus their questions on people who didn't attend camp, while no coach on this planet wants to talk about that. Think about it for a second. They want to talk about the guys who did attend practice. Can you imagine coaching a practice for nearly 100 players, all grown men, all giving their all and fighting for a roster spot? And then immediately after practice, you come inside and the first thing you're asked about is someone in the media asking you questions about a guy who wasn't one of the 90 players on the practice field. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and I've never understood why our media guys are like that. So no, I don't really think Alan Williams is mad at JJ, but for sure he doesn't want to talk about him when he's not there. However, I do want to give my take on Jaylon Johnson. He spoke about becoming a leader of this secondary this year. He's entering the final year of his contract, and he talked about getting a new deal done this summer. I want to touch briefly on his contract extension and becoming a leader on this football team. First off, the extension. I think it's 50-50 right now whether or not JJ gets a new deal done. He spoke about being one of the top corners in the NFL, and I think he might want to get paid like a top corner. I'm not sure if Ryan Poles wants to pay him like a top corner, at least not yet. Alan Williams did go out of his way to praise Jaylon Johnson's knowledge of the game and how he's helped young corners. He didn't want to give away any specifics, but he said Jaylon is able to diagnose and read what plays offenses are likely to run based on the formation and downs and distances. He said JJ's a very smart football player and praised him when given the chance. He did answer no comment if he expects JJ to show up for any more of the voluntary practices. He said he wants all the guys to be there and they will coach up the players who do show up, but he loves all his guys. My point on this is pretty simple. I showed off some highlights of JJ working out this offseason just last week, and man, he looks good. However, you cannot be a leader of this defense if you aren't here to lead your teammates. These rookies need leadership right now. Justin Fields was here. DJ Moore was here. Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Jaquan Brisker, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Eddie Jackson. Those guys are leaders. Right now, Jaylon Johnson is not a leader. Now, don't go too far with that, though, because Kyler Gordon and Jaylon Jones both talked last season about how much JJ helped them. So I think when it matters, JJ will be here leading his teammates. But my final point on Jaylon Johnson is this is a new regime. These are not the guys that drafted JJ, and I would be a little reluctant to give out a huge contract to a guy who doesn't show up for voluntary practices unless he has a big year. Now, I wouldn't let JJ walk, though. I think how he plays this season determines whether or not he gets a new contract. Moving on, our special teams coach Tim Hightower was also asked about DeAndre Houston-Carson, DHC, a fan favorite, who's been the Bears' third safety the last few years. He was a solid backup safety and core special teams player. DHC is still a free agent, and Allen mentioned that, but didn't close the door on him coming back, but also said it could be a younger guy stepping up into that position now. I haven't talked much about DHC this offseason, but I have always thought there was a good chance that Poles would bring him back. I imagine DHC would like to come back as well, unless a starting opportunity presented itself elsewhere, but right now I'm not sure if he'll be brought back or not. We have Elijah Hicks and Kendall Williamson as youngsters who can step up and fill that special teams role. I do think there's a chance that DHC is brought back, though. Hightower also seemed to take offense to a question about Cairo Santos struggling. He said Cairo was top 5 in the NFL in field goals last year and seemed to brush off his extra point struggles, saying he corrected those issues late in the season and he's not worried about it. But Hightower went on to call Cairo Santos a top 5 kicker more than 3 times throughout his press conference, and even went as far to say most teams would kill to have a top 5 field goal kicker, so he seems pretty high on Cairo Santos. For those of us high on undrafted free agent Andre Smith, I think he has an uphill battle in order to beat out Cairo Santos. I wouldn't write him off completely, but our special teams coordinator seems pretty pleased with Cairo's performance. He also did comment on the new kickoff rules, and like Eberflus, our special teams coordinator also seems to think that the new rules might lead to more kickoff returns. I appreciate everybody who watches. I'll have some more OTA updates coming out tomorrow. I also have an undrafted free agent spotlight video dropping tonight. Check that out. I also dropped my Tyreek Stevenson all 22. If you somehow missed that, be sure to check it out. Please remember to hit that like button for me. And until next time, bear down.
I don't make those decisions. I just coach the guys that we have. So everybody here loves DHC. We all love them, but I just coach the guys that are here. So that doesn't really fall in my area. If I guess is the best way to. I'll coach the guys that are here.
All the guys are just they've gained some strength to them, and so they look a little bit different in terms of their girth and their muscular build. So their girth and their